All right, we are live. What is up, fight nerds and dirty gamblers? I am Eric, and this is Eric Bets Fights. It's Tuesday night, y'all. Looks like we got one person watching. I don't know who it is yet, but maybe they'll pipe up in the chat and we'll figure it out. But it's Tuesday night, y'all. Contender Series just got done a little while ago. Dana gave away 5 contracts again tonight. I think they said it was the 4th or 5th time that he's given away 5 contracts this season so far. So yeah, I gave away a contract in every fight, but I thought it was deserved. Some pretty good fights tonight, pretty good finishes. I think he found some decent prospects. That there were a couple that I don't entirely know that I would have given the contract if I were in his case. What was her name? I forget her name now. The woman that beat Maria Silva. I don't know if I was like super well. I mean, it wasn't an impressive performance, I guess. I don't want to talk down on her. Daz is here. What's up, Daz? How you doing? 5. Cool. It was good fights. Yeah, good to see you, Daz. But yeah, it was a good show. We had some fun finishes. We had what's his name? Get the McKenzie team there. Like, I can't remember the names of any of the fighters I fought tonight because I didn't actually do tape on Contender Series. I usually don't. I did have some bets tonight. I was tailing some people. I'd listen to some podcasts and stuff. I got to quit betting Contender Series. I keep betting shows that I'm not actually doing the tape on myself. Basically, for those of you who do follow my bets, I really only ever research UFC cards. So if you ever see me betting on Contender Series, Bellator, PFL, anything other than UFC for the most part, I'm probably just blindly tailing other cappers. So, I mean, tail at your own risk, even when it is my own bets. But, you know, it's just secondary information if you see me betting other organizations than the UFC. So I've been losing those bets a lot lately, but I'm a degen like that. I just can't seem to stop. I like watching Contender Series, and it's just that much more fun if you have a little action on it. But I've been trying to keep it small, making some little half unit bets and stuff. That way, if I lose, not a super big deal. But anyway, we aren't here to talk about Contender Series. We are here to talk about UFC Paris, headlined by the heavyweight fight between Cyril Gone and Tuivasa. More specifically, we are here to do some trivia questions. This is a show called Mixed Martial Smarts. For those of you who have not attended this show before, what we do is I ask 5 trivia questions that are all related to the fighters that will be appearing on this weekend's UFC card. So in a way, it might be helpful if you're going to play along. It might be helpful to actually, pull up the card on Tapology or MMA Junkie or UFC.com or wherever you like to do that. And that way you've got the fighters in front of you to kind of help out a little bit. Lou popped in. God, look at this handsome man. Lou, my wife told me that I should not go on the stream with my hair looking like this, but this is just what my hair looks like. So, I'm not, you can't polish turd. This is just what I look like, guys. So that is what we're dealing with. But yeah, good to see Lou in here as well. Awesome. So yeah, I'm going to ask you 5 questions related to the fighters on UFC Paris. If you've got guesses, go ahead and drop those guesses in the chat. If you are watching this after the fact, go ahead and drop your guesses down in the comments. I know it's not as fun to do it that way after the fact, but the comments help the get the algorithm going to get a little more attention on my channel and that kind of thing. And for those of you who are here, go ahead and drop a like on the video if you would, please. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the Eric Bets Fights channel, please do that. And also please subscribe to the Never Hedge Media channel. This video will be posted over on Never Hedge as well, so make sure to check both of those out. I put content out here on the Eric Bets Fights channel, also on the Never Hedge Media channel, so stay subscribed to both of those. Well, Lou says Hunsucker, Sherman, Denmark Sea, skiing. Those are my 5 guesses. Yeah, all right, let's get into the questions. Maybe one of those will be right. We'll see. I guess I just said all this stuff right there. I always forget to pull this slide up before I say that, but we will go ahead and jump right into the questions. Question number 1. Which opponent was Cyril Gone referring to when he said this? How do I beat him? I don't know. This is a good question. I don't know exactly. I think I am going to do the Bone Gamine style, and that's touch him and he never touch you. So once again, which opponent was Cyril Gone talking about when he said, how do I beat him? I don't know. This is a good question. I don't know exactly. I think I'm going to do the Bone Gamine style, and that's touch him and he never touch you. Basically, it's multiple choice. All you got to do is look up Cyril Gone's opponents and start throwing out some guesses. Let's see. Let's take a look at Lou's guesses here that were Hunsucker, Sherman. Daz Files says Ty. That is not correct. However, we do have a correct answer from Eddie Rodriguez. He says Lewis. It was indeed Derek Lewis. Nice job, Eddie. Thanks for throwing that answer out there. Yeah, he said, how am I going to beat Lewis? I don't know. Good question. I don't know exactly. But he figured it out, didn't he? Yeah. Good one, Eddie. Thanks for popping in here. Let's go ahead and move on to question number 2. Which UFC Paris fighter has openly discussed his struggles with gambling addiction? having once lost $20,000 at a casino in one night, walking out with no money left, unable to even get a cab home. Yeah, that's kind of a sad one. But which UFC Paris fighter has openly discussed his struggles with gambling addiction, having once lost $20,000 at a casino in one night, walking out with no money left, unable to even get a cab home? This was before this fighter's UFC career, luckily. I will give you a little bit of a hint. I don't see any guesses coming through yet. This happened while this person was playing rugby professionally, if that hint helps you at all. And to take it one step further, this person was playing rugby professionally for a team called the Sydney Roosters. And this fight, there we go. Eddie comes through with Ty. Yeah, it was Ty Tuivasa. Yeah, he used to play rugby professionally for the Sydney Roosters. Part of the reason he actually left playing rugby professionally is because it was getting him too involved in gambling. Apparently, I don't know if he going to the casino and betting on games and that kind of thing. I think, but yeah, in a way that culture when he was playing rugby kind of ended up being tied into gambling for him, and he sort of had to leave that behind. But hey, ended up being a blessing in disguise, right? Eddie says, I never knew that. Actually, I just learned about it. So the way that I do this show is I literally just start Googling fighters and reading things that I find about them. A lot of times I don't know this stuff either. So yeah, I actually didn't know about it until I just read about it today. So yeah, he apparently had some issues with gambling. So yeah, I got out of the rugby world, got into the MMA world, and things have gone better. All right, let's move on to question number 3. Robert Whittaker became the undisputed UFC middleweight champion when what fighter vacated the title in 2017? So he had been the interim champion previous to this, if I remember correctly, but he became the undisputed UFC middleweight champion because the champion at the time vacated the title, and that was in 2017. What fighter was it that vacated the title, allowing Robert Whittaker to step from interim middleweight champion to undisputed middleweight champion? And by the way, I believe he became the very first Australian-born UFC champion when this happened. So yeah, it was a special moment in that regard as well. So yeah, Whittaker, he stepped up when what fighter stepped down? I don't see any guesses coming through yet. I feel like Eddie's going to nab this one again. All right, I'm not seeing any guesses, so I'm going to let you know it was GSP. Yeah, it was actually after GSP made that return. He'd been out for what, 4 or 5. Yeah, that was a tough one, Eddie. I wouldn't have gotten that one either. That was a tough one. I would have had to look that up. But yeah, that was because to me it doesn't seem like it was that long ago that it was already 2017. But yeah, GSP had been out for what, like 4 or 5 years. He'd fought Johnny Hendricks. A lot of people felt that he lost that fight. Took off for a while, came back 4 or 5 years later when Bisping was holding the middleweight title. Took the middleweight title from Bisping and then gave it up again and said, "Yep, I'm done." And that is when Robert Whittaker became the very first Australian-born undisputed UFC champion. Moving on to question number 4. If Marvin Vettori would have defeated Izzy Adesanya, he would have become the first ever Italian-born UFC champion. So now we're talking about that again. But who was the first Italian-born fighter to ever compete in the UFC? This is definitely a tough one. Excuse me. If Marvin Vettori would have defeated Izzy Adesanya, he would have become the first ever Italian-born UFC champion. But who was the first Italian-born fighter to ever compete in the UFC? I did type out some hints for you here. I'm going to give you some hints. He debuted way back in 2005. His nickname was Legionarius. And this is kind of a dumb hint, but it'll make sense once I tell you the answer. His name sounds very similar to a certain Canadian pop star who also happens to have Italian citizenship. I think you might be on the right track, Eddie. It was a tattooed guy. I think. Yeah, I think you might actually be thinking of the right guy here. His name was Alessio Sakara. Yeah, Alessio Legionarius Sakara. He made his MMA debut back in 2002, I think, and then he debuted in the UFC in 2005. He was around. He was around for a while. He was decent. But yeah, the reason I said his name sounds similar to a certain Canadian pop star who has Italian citizenship. I don't know if you're familiar with the musical artist Alessia Cara. But every time I hear the name Alessio Cara, I think that they're saying Alessio Sakara. So anyway, yeah, that was dumb, but that's all right. Alessio Sakara, just one question left, gang. Actually, I do have a sixth question I can ask you too. I only made slides for 5, but I do have an extra one that we can throw out there. John the Bull McDessie began training in martial arts at age 6. What was the first martial art he studied? Once again, John the Bull McDessie began training in martial arts at age 6. What was the first martial art he studied? I'll give you a little bit of a hint. If you just guess, you'll probably be right. What martial art do people usually study when they start training martial arts when they're 6? If you guess that one, you'll probably be correct. We got 4 people in the house. Hey, there's Addicted to Combat popped in. He guessed karate. Take one more guess at it, Patrick, and you're going to be right. Yeah, what's up, Patrick? Take one. It's the other one. If you start martial arts at 6 and it's not karate, what's the other one that it probably would be? He's probably going to type it in the chat in just a second, but I'm going to let you know. It was Taekwondo. Yeah, it was Taekwondo. He started Taekwondo at age 6. Yep, Eddie threw it out there as well. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I read the kind of the rest of his training history, but I didn't type up any notes on it, so I can't remember. But yeah, he eventually ended up kickboxing later on and whatnot. But yeah, started out in Taekwondo at age 6, like a lot of people do. Patrick says that's how I began. Yeah, I think, didn't you say your mom was a Taekwondo instructor or something, Patrick? I think, yeah, I started out in Shorin-ryu karate. That was the first art I studied, but I was like 12 by the time I got started. I wanted to start younger, but I lived in a small town and there was no martial arts classes in my small town. So as soon as they started up, which is when I was 12 years old, that's when I started. Yeah, I don't have a slide for this one, but I did type up one other question that I'll throw out there. Bantamweight prospect Eileen Perez, who will make her UFC debut this weekend versus Stephanie Egger, was born in what country? So yeah, Eileen Perez. I want to know, what country was Eileen Perez born in? It seems like a boring question, but the reason I asked is because it's kind of rare. I can only think of one other UFC fighter off the top of my head from this country. That's not to say there aren't others, but I can only think of one off the top of my head. And I'm not even positive that I'm right about that one. Whoops, I didn't. Oh, never mind. I don't have a slide for this one. But yeah, Patrick's got it. There we go. Yeah, Argentina. Yep, she was born in Argentina. The other one I was thinking of is Santiago Ponzinibbio. Isn't he from Argentina as well? I think so. I could be wrong about that, but I think he's Argentinian. I don't know if he was born there or trained there or both or what, but yeah, that's about all I got for you, gang. Thanks so much for popping in and playing along. I've got up on the screen there. So in addition to this Erik Betts Fights thing, I'm also part of a media collective called Never Hedge. So I threw that stuff up there as well. If you look down on the bottom, you can see our Twitter handles, Never Hedge, and then MMA Fight Club, and then Erik Betts Fights. I would love it if you would subscribe to all of us on Twitter. Also, like I said, please make sure to like this video, drop a comment down there. That helps to get the algorithms going. Make sure to subscribe to Erik Betts Fights. Also subscribe to Never Hedge Media. We would appreciate that. Thanks so much for dropping in, everybody. Eddie says this was fun. Yeah, that's awesome, Eddie. I really appreciate you being here. I had a good time as well. Thanks to Patrick for being here. Thanks to Lou for popping in. Daz Files. We had a lot of the usual suspects in here, so it was great to see all you guys. Love you, Erik. You're the man. You're the man too, Patrick. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for being here. That's going to be it for me tonight, gang. I should have my full card breakdown for UFC Paris out hopefully tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening, so make sure to check that out, and I hope to talk to you all again soon. Have a good night, everybody.